Just what is the secret ingredient that converts a so-so script into something special? Its magic has been used in some of the cinema's greatest blockbusters: Chinatown, The Godfather, Goodfellas, Raging Bull, Die Hard, Bonnie and Clyde, even Enchanted and Spider-Man. The technique was first applied as far back as 1915 in the controversial success Birth of a Nation. Professionals apply it religiously. Amateurs don't know it exists. The French call it the mise-en-scene. The Americans call it the image system. The mise-en-scene is a set of words and images subtly inserted into your text that the viewer cannot consciously see or hear, but unconsciously elicits an emotional response. It will make your narrative more psychologically satisfying. This all sounds very lofty, so I will give you a down-to-earth example. But why is the mise-en-scene, this image system, so important? Let's look at a perfect example of the mise-en-scene in action. If you haven't seen this film, you must treat yourself. This gorgeous film is called Les Diabolique, often described as the best film Hitchcock never made, although it was rumoured he was after the script. This 1955 French classic was directed by Henri-Georges Clouzot and based on the novel She Who Was No More. Now, we all know a good novel doesn't necessarily equate to a good film. And this is where the mise-en-scene comes in. In Diabolique, the mise-en-scene is water. Water is a symbol of health, even sexuality. When we go to other planets looking for life, we don't go looking for little green men, we look for water. Our bodies are mostly water. We spend the first 9 months of our existence in a sack of water. Where there's clean water, there's likely to be healthy people. If the water's polluted, then so are we. We have an involuntary emotional response to water. Les Diaboliques is a psychological thriller stroke horror set in a Parisian boarding school. It's a three-hander. Yes, there are other characters, but basically it's constructed around 2 women and a man involved in a imaginatoire, a sexual relationship between 3 consenting adults. The 2 women are forced into an unholy alliance because of the abuse they suffer at the hands of the boarding school's principal, played by Paul Maurice. Vera is the fragile, downtrodden wife. Her fragility is illustrated by a weak heart. But it's Vera, Paul's wife, who actually owns the boarding school. The other woman, literally, is played by Simone Signore. Simone is also a teacher at the boarding school. She is the binary opposite of Vera. In contrast to Vera's fragile persona, Simone is a commanding, matriarchal presence. The wife and the other woman are actually good friends. Their friendship is fused by Paul's cruelty. See here the other woman, Simone, revealing her bruised eye to the wife after an encounter with Paul. It's the wife, Vera, that will actually console her. Paul treats his wife just as badly. Together, the women decide to murder Paul Maurice. The water, clean and dirty, represents their murky relationship. Right from the opening credits, the director never misses an opportunity to get water into the picture. After murdering Paul, the plan is to dump the body in the swimming pool at the boarding school. When the corpse eventually floats to the surface, the police will think it was an unfortunate accident and write the whole thing off. Could I just be imagining the mise-en-scene? Look at this. There's a shot of a puddle here for no reason at all, but it connects 2 disparate scenes. We've seen it, but we haven't seen it. Our brain just files it away. As Simone and Vera put their murderous plot into action, they must weaken their victim first. Look at this shot as the sleeping potion goes down his throat. We've all been thirsty. We know this feeling. The murder is in a bath. Water itself is the murder weapon. The mise-en-scene is not just pictures and words, but it can be the sound effects too. Let's hear the exaggerated sound of water. The neighbours complain about running noisy baths at midnight. The tension between the women becomes unbearable. The body has not floated to the surface. The women fabricate some excuse to have the pool drained, and when they do, it's empty. Where is Paul's corpse? Vera needs to confess to a
Il avait
policeman
le droit
played
dans
by
son...
Charles Vanel. By the third act, we're so mesmerised by the MIse-en-Scene, we just don't see the twist coming. And you know what? I don't want to spoil it, it's just too gorgeous. But this is why the MIse-en-Scene is so important. It glues disparate ideas and characters together. It reinforces the subtext in your novel or script. Sometimes the MIse-en-Scene can be obvious, such as the red roses in American Beauty, which represents various kinds of passion. But usually it's subtle to the point of being invisible. Some writers know what their mise-en-scene is going to be before they start the first draft. Others apply it later in the rewrites. Give it a try. If your mise-en-scene is water, instead of saying, "Let's go for a walk," why don't you write, "I know, we better take our coats. It looks like it's going to rain cats and dogs." It will reinforce your subtext. If you didn't quite get it this time around, don't worry, there'll be more videos. Why not watch Diabolique with a friend? See if they spot the mise-en-scene. Once you've pointed it out to them, they'll say it's obvious, like a fish describing water, but it's seldom seen before it's revealed.